This coverage of MWC is brought to you by Bitdefender Mobile Security. While most of the excitement for Sony might have centered around their flagship release and tablet update, there was also a mid-range offering that deserves as much attention. Hey, it's Josh Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And this is the Sony Xperia M2. The Xperia M2 takes on the general design language that permeates throughout the Xperia line, especially taking inspiration from the recent crop of Z devices. It bears quite a bit of resemblance to the Xperia Z1, for example, with its more rigid sides and corners that do have some subtle angles to them for a more comfortable experience in the hand. It is a little smaller than the flagship devices, however, with the screen coming in at 4.8 inches. While on one side of the phone you see a cover for the micro SD card and SIM slot, the micro USB charging port is uncovered on the other side. No, this phone does not have the IP certification, thus that is a general addition for other flagship devices in the Sony line. Being a more mid-range offering, the screen comes with a 960 by 540 resolution, and it might not be a particularly high-end display, but it does get the job done. One thing we didn't like is the return of the large bezels like in the original Xperia Z1. As far as performance goes, we get a Snapdragon 400 quad-core processor here clocked in at 1.2 GHz and backed by 1 GB of RAM. While especially the less than standard RAM capacity is a little disappointing, it is worth remembering that Timescape, or the Xperia UI rather, is pretty minimalistic and thus should run pretty smoothly still. And as far as hardware goes, the 8 GB of onboard storage is able to be expanded with a micro SD card slot. 2300 mAh is the capacity of the battery unit found inside, and power-saving features could mean the difference in longevity. This is a 4G LTE compatible phone, and for added mobile capability, the M2 does have dual SIM support. When we look at the camera, it is an 8-megapixel version of the Exmor RS sensor that comes with HDR and the superior auto that we've come to expect from Sony Xperia cameras. And finally, when it comes to the software, the Xperia UI continues its tradition of keeping things pretty simplistic and almost very stock-like, while adding in certain additions like the small apps and the Sony-specific apps like the Walkman and Unlimited services. It might not be a powerhouse, but the Xperia M2 still exhibits some of the best that Sony has to offer. And it should come in at a very competitive price point. We're trucking along here in Barcelona, Spain for the Mobile World Congress, so stay tuned to Android Authority.